anyways, thank you very much for inviting me this morning. I really appreciate it. I want you to celebrate with me today my 39th birthday in the Lord. So on October the 14th in 1982, after a year of really wrestling, I felt like Jacob, wrestling with God for a year. And I mean that, reading the Bible. Nobody knew about it. I hid my New Testament, the little wee Gideon New Testament that I had. And I was reading the Gospel of John, and it was speaking to my heart like you would not believe. And then finally, I thank the Lord that he never gave up on me. On October the 14th in 1982, I got on my knees in Timmins, Ontario. I asked Christ to come into my life, forgive my sins, and the rest is history, in a sense that what a change it made in our home, in our marriage. And I'm thankful for, just my Christian family, and you're part of it. So thank you very much. And we can have a birthday cake or whatever. No, not cake. We'll talk about that. Okay. But anyway, let's talk about the immune system. But let me tell you why it's so important. Okay. So important, especially in this day and age. I've made up a new syndrome called Netflix syndrome. The last 18 months, we've created a syndrome in the world. Now, you would actually have to have left the planet not to see the enormous change in our society in the last 18 months. And this pandemic has been hard on all of us. But I use the word Netflix because in the last 18 months, we've really found out a couple of things. One, we're very unhealthy as a population in general, very unhealthy. And secondly, we've got terrible mental health. And these two things, metabolic health and mental health, have been at the forefront of the side effects of this pandemic. It's really come to the surface. 88% of the population have what we call metabolic syndrome. And that's sort of Netflix syndrome because it's really been exacerbated in the last 18 months in a sense that we've been at home. Our lives have changed drastically. We wonder if there'll ever be a new normal. And one of the things that we've observed is that metabolically, we've really gone downhill in the last 18 months. And of course, the other one is mental health. Do you know that Sudbury is the #1 place in all of Canada per capita in overdoses? And my son-in-law, who works in the emergency department, is in charge of emergency medicine in Sudbury. It was telling me since COVID, it's almost been one a day of suicide. My wife gave me an honorary degree in obituariology. And I look at obituaries every morning. First of all, make sure I'm not in there. And then second of all, I look because it's amazing the amount of young people. And when young people used to die, it used to be of cancer usually. Cancer has got no age limits. But what we're seeing today is the amount of overdosing and the amount of suicides. Incredible. That's been the side effect of being bottled up and not being with each other and with just the way the world. And, you can understand why they did it. But again, there's been some major consequences. Now, one of the things they haven't talked to you about, at least very little, and I would really like to talk to you about is your immune system, because we're not talking about that. We're talking about social distancing, wearing your mask, washing your hands. Look, I don't want to get into that, but we're not talking about what makes you healthy and what keeps your immune system. God gave you an immune system. You just saw a little wee teensy weensy bit of it on a little video this morning that you can look at on YouTube. And like I said, I used to show my patients, because I used to be able to tell patients whether their immune system was up to snuff by just simply taking a little drop of blood and having a look at the activity of their white blood cells. So this has been a real forgotten, and I think a real tragedy in this last 18 months. We just have not talked about what God has equipped us with, and that is an immune system. Guys, let me tell you something. There will always be viruses and there will always be bacteria. You know, if all you had, like, if you didn't think there was going to be a variant, a Delta variant, I mean, listen, it's not evolution, guys, it's devolution. It's the second law of thermodynamics. You know what that is? Everything deteriorates. The original virus, COVID-19, deteriorated. That's what it means when you have a variant. It's never as dangerous as the original one. It goes downhill. It's still dangerous, but it goes downhill. And so there are always going to be viruses. You're surrounded by it. I don't care how much hand sanitizer you use, how many masks, how many shields you put over your face, you are going to be surrounded by them. So the idea, in my opinion, is to take care of your immune system. What I do now is I am out of private practice. I did that for 46 years, and I've always wanted to teach. So, you know, and I know nothing about social media. I mean, if I didn't have my son around, and my grandchildren, I wouldn't even know how to do this morning. I got a smartphone, but it's in stupid hands. Okay, I don't know how to do anything. But you know, thank God for grandchildren and like I said, my son. But what I do now is I teach, and I really love that. I enjoy that. I do a podcast every day, 5 days a week. The Doctor is in podcast, and you know, my son's sort of like, he's so good at social media and marketing that we've got about 60,000 people a week that watch our Facebook lives and then are turned into podcasts. So that's what I like doing. Plus, because of Zoom, believe it or not, this would have never been possible. But for the last 2 years, I've been teaching at the University of Tennessee, and it's kind of funny if you think of it, because of course, without Zoom, I wouldn't be able to do it. But I've been teaching nutritional psychology. Like, what? But seriously, they have a course at the University of Tennessee, nutritional psychology. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. But what I have been trying to do in educating people is getting them to think about their immune system. Look, statistically, all of us are going to age and die. That's just a fact. But God has given us a body, and when we belong to Christ, we have, it's actually called the temple of the Holy Spirit, God living within us. And we do have some responsibility there, okay? And part of that responsibility is taking care of ourselves. It really, you know, I think that, look, I mean, it's not everything, spiritually much more important to take care of your soul than your body. But God has given you a tent, and I'm really, my ministry really, and I try and use this to let people know that I'm a Christian, I'm a Bible-believing Christian, and I put my flag up on a daily basis to the thousands of people that we reach on social media, to let them know, listen, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Take care of your body. So let's talk about, how do you best protect yourself? How do you get your immune system to work on your behalf, to protect you from viruses, from bacteria? Okay, so I'm going to mention 5 things. So if you got a pen, you can take some notes, but if not, that's all right. I'll be very simple with these things. One of the best things you can do for your immune system, okay, do you remember see that white blood cell there floating, and it was chasing a little wee bug? You saw that, right? It's very vivid. And at this very moment, you have millions of white blood cells in your body. Now, I'll tell you what puts your white blood cells to sleep. And this has been done many a times. If you take 1 teaspoon of sugar, your white blood cells, you saw the activity, you see how it was chasing that bacteria there? If you want your white blood cells not to work, consume sugar. 1 teaspoon of sugar will put all your white blood cells to sleep for an hour. That has been clinically proven. Like, the white blood cells will stop in their track. So all I'm saying is, and I tell this to people, look, if you do nothing else for yourself, nothing else, will you please be careful with sugar? Sugar is so toxic in your body, you have no idea. Your body, God gave you a pancreas that secretes insulin. Its primary job is to take sugar and say, come here. You cannot stay in the bloodstream. One of the reasons is because sugar destroys your blood vessels in a nanosecond. So insulin, when you eat sugar, your insulin goes, you come here, I'm going to park you. You cannot park there. It's a no parking zone. Sugar cannot park in your bloodstream. The problem is when you consume it, and you consume too much. We all know about diabetes, but I'm not talking about that this morning. I'm talking about your immune system. You literally put your white blood cells to sleep. Your T cells are your Navy SEALs of your white blood cells. They come out of your lymphatics. You've heard of your lymphatics, right, ladies? Under your armpits and that. Be careful. Don't put bad. I want you to use deodorant, but try and use natural if you can, because your lymphatics are right there. But what comes out of your lymphatic system are white blood cells. Your T cells, especially, those are your Navy SEALs. Whenever you have a virus that has been activated, that is starting to make you sick, your body is so smart. The white blood cells get called out. They're like the cavalry, get out there, you got a bug. But if you eat sugar, and remember, crappy carbohydrates, bread, pasta, rice, cereal, sugar, sweets, pastries, juice is full of sugar. Bread is going to be sugar in 5 seconds. You're putting your immune system to sleep. That's number one. So the one thing you can do, if you do nothing else or hear nothing else this morning, cut back on your sugar. I tell my kids, like my grandchildren, because they think I'm weird, okay? And they say, I say, no, listen, young grandchildren, grandpa had cookies and ice cream too. But in the 1950s, Canadians were consuming 25 pounds of sugar. And in the 1970s, my 4 children were born in the 70s, and Canadians were consuming 50 pounds of sugar. It doubled in 20 years, in a generation. And guess what? You know how much we're consuming today as a society? 200 pounds of sugar a year. The average Canadian and American is consuming close to 200 pounds of sugar. And the worst thing that happened to sugar is that man made a new sugar. In 1980, the FDA sanctioned a new sugar called high fructose corn syrup. It is the Frankenstein of all sugars because it sounds natural, high fructose corn syrup, but it's made in a lab. It's made by man, and your body doesn't know what it is. And it is in everything. If you see sugar, unfortunately, in North America, labels are much better than they used to be. But do you know that the food companies still don't have to tell you how they make their sugar and what they make it from? You just read glucose, or you read sucrose or fructose. But guys, I'm telling you, it's high fructose corn syrup because it's cheap, it's addictive. I could go into what that sugar does to you, but one thing it does, it puts your immune system to sleep. High fructose corn syrup is the worst of all sugars. Okay, so that's number one. So if, like I said, cut back on your sugars. Number two, vitamin D. I've renamed it. It's called Viderma. If you want to get a booster shot, okay, you want to get a booster shot, take Viderma, vitamin D. You know what they found out with this virus? 80% of the people that were hospitalized had low levels of vitamin D. 80% of the population have low levels of vitamin D. The sun. People are scared of the sun. My generation, my parents' generation, they stayed out of the sun. They're scared of the sun. Seniors. Whenever I did a patient, senior citizens, they were extremely low in vitamin D. And so, more than the rest of the population, because they bought the lie of staying out of the sun. Now, I'm not telling people to burn in the sun, but vitamin D, your T cells have a little, remember what I said about your Navy SEALs? Well, your Navy SEALs have a little antenna on top of them. Seriously. That's looking for vitamin D. It's their battery packs. Your body is a solar system. It's looking for vitamin D. And look, if you live in Northern Ontario, Rosie and I were talking about this the other day. Well, gee, like it's must be climate change. It's still mild in Sudbury. Oh yeah, I said, just wait. Coming to a theater near you, winter. Not so much you folks in St. Catharines, but come to Northern Ontario, and I don't know about climate change. It'll change all right. We're going to get winter, and it's coming. So all I'm saying is at that time, you might want to, you're not going to get in the sun so much. You might want to, take some vitamin D because your immune system depends on it. It does. People don't realize that, how important vitamin D is. Viderma, your booster shot. Do you like that name, Viderma? I made it up. I'm not kidding you. Okay. Low levels of vitamin D. Here's another one, vitamin A. Okay, so number 3 is vitamin A. Vitamin A, proretinol A, is a very important vitamin for your immune system. In the third world, they always brought any missionary or whatever, they always, mission people, they always understood when they in the third world that people were very low in vitamin A. And vitamin A is very important for your immune system because it really is your invisible mask. You know, I always tell people, I'm wearing a mask right now. You know why? Because I got good levels of vitamin A. Vitamin A covers your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. It's invisible, but you won't have a good immune system without vitamin A. And by the way, how do you get vitamin A? I don't care if I don't really want you to supplement. You can get it in food when you eat vitamin S, steak. Okay? Because a lot of people think they get vitamin A from carrots. No, they don't. They get beta-carotene. That's a precursor. That's not vitamin A. Vitamin A is only found in the animal kingdom. So listen to what I'm saying. Don't get caught up to be a vegetarian or a vegan, because that is indoctrination. That is a religion. It's not true. If you want vitamin A, you need to eat from the animal kingdom: eggs, meat, and cheese, okay? Eggs, meat, and cheese, because that's how you get vitamin A. That's why I often talk about vitamin S. And by the way, vitamin S, steak, okay? I have my own list of vitamins. Steak gives you zinc. Now, if you watch the news, remember when President Trump got sick? You know what they gave him? This was before the vaccines and all. Do you remember that? You know what they gave him, his team of doctors? They gave him high doses, I mean 50,000 international units of vitamin D a day, vitamin A injected into his body, plus zinc. Now, zinc, again, I don't talk about it so much as a supplement because you get it when you do not get zinc in plants. I'm not saying you can't eat your veggies, but don't fool yourself. Zinc or vitamin A is not found in the plant kingdom. It's in the animal kingdom. Zinc is found in vitamin S, okay? Now, got it? That's why I want you, the third thing is vitamin A, but you get that with vitamin S, and you get zinc with vitamin S. Now, let me give you another one, vitamin C for your immune system. Now, remember, I have my own list of vitamins. You know what is good for your immune system? Vitamin C, but not ascorbic acid. Coffee. You like coffee?
I like it.
You know what coffee does for your immune system? Now, no sugar. Don't put sugar in. You ruined it. Okay? You know what coffee does? Coffee is the true vitamin C. Why is that? Because it's very high in quercetin. And quercetin takes zinc that you're eating from your steak and sends it inside your cell to help your immune system. You see, coffee has got a bad rap with people. I always tell people, why are you drinking tea when you could have coffee? Okay, for my tea drinkers out there. No, tea is good for you too. Lay off the sugar, but nothing's better than coffee, vitamin C. Isn't that interesting? Vitamin C is coffee. And you know what? Remember, Eskimos, okay, can't use that word anymore, indigenous or in the Inuit, they don't have a lack of vitamin C. How come? You know, because they say, well, why don't they die of scurvy up there? They drink coffee. Okay, because they get the true vitamin C from coffee. Just don't add sugar. The second you put sugar in it, you're destroying the benefits of true vitamin C coffee. Now, here's another one, okay? The fifth one, your gut. What? Well, listen, you have a war going on. Isn't it beautiful to be a Christian, folks? Why do I say that? Because you and I can go behind the scenes, right? There's an invisible world out there. In Ephesians, we're told, we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. I tell you, I love the idea that as a Christian, I see the invisible world by faith. I know there's a battle going on in the invisible world with the God of this world, the temporary God of this world. Guys, we ought to get down on our knees every day and thank the Lord that we can see that war, that battle, and we know who wins at the end. We know who wins. But listen, guys, you have a battle going on in your body right now. When you get on a scale, take 3 pounds off. You have my permission. You know why? Because you have 3 pounds of gut. Well, you have it everywhere, but mostly in your gut. And it's a war that's going on. It's like David and Goliath. You have your good bacteria and you have your bad bacteria. It's called your microbiome. And believe you me, when I was in school in the 70s, we didn't even know about that stuff. We knew about bacteria, but we didn't realize that you've got trillions of bacteria in your body. And as long as you have as many good guys as bad guys, it's called you win. And the problem is in our society today, okay, and I listen, I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but when you take an antibiotic, by the way, antibiotics are the greatest discovery of the 20th century. They are. They've saved hundreds of millions of people's lives with infection. The problem with an antibiotic is they kill your friendly bacteria. You need to replace that, because if your good army is not there, guys, your immune system is not going to work properly. Even vitamin D is absorbed. A lot of it's absorbed in not only on the skin, but the skin to your gut. But if you don't have a good microbiome, and one of the things that I often say is don't feed the bears. Don't feed the bad guys. You feed them because they're like teenagers. They want sugar. So another reason not to eat sugar. But your bacteria, your gut, you've heard the term probiotics. You know what that means? Friendly bacteria. That's all it means. I'm very, very big on that. Hippocrates said 2,000 years ago, the father of medicine, you know what he said? All disease starts in the gut. And you know what? They thought he was crazy as a hoot owl. Even in the 1950s, the 19th century, oh, Hippocrates, all disease starts in the gut. No, yeah, you know, and guess what? The better our microscopes are, the more Hippocrates was right, that your gut is a big part. And this is one of the things that I teach, by the way, at the University of Tennessee, the connection between your gut and your brain. There's a connection. And we're starting to find out so much more. But one of the things it'll do is it'll help your immune system. It'll help your immune system. So make sure you got a good gut, and don't feed the bears. Don't feed them with sugars, especially that high fructose corn syrup. So there you go, guys. There is your little tips for the day on building your immune system. It's mostly food. And I really, I really try and emphasize that, because you won't hear it in the mainstream media. You really won't. All you're going to hear about is, the mantra. And nobody's talking about your immune system, and it's something you can do. And by the way, can I tell you something? It's never too late. You get brand new blood every 4 months. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Every cell in your body is regenerated. You get new blood. All you have to do is change some habits. And I leave you with that. And I thank you very much for inviting me this morning. Thank you.